Stillwater, Oklahoma. Oklahoma State falls 22-19 to the Utah Utes, the Cam Rising-less Utes. Again, doesn't get to play in the game. I feel like Cam Rising is more of a legend than he is a reality at this point. He's never healthy, man. This time I think it's a laceration on his hand, which absolutely stinks. But Utah finds a way. And if you were backing the Utes, you got to see probably what you hung your hat on: physical defense, a running game that Oklahoma State just really could not stop when they absolutely needed to. There was some atrocious tackling from Oklahoma State late in that ball game when they had a chance to climb back into it. This is the first ranked loss at home for Oklahoma State since 2019. They'd previously won their 8 last games against a ranked opponent. That's what I was banking on. And I talked about that in the preview. Everything analytics-wise was saying take Utah. Maybe this is a close game. Maybe you could still take the Pokes plus the points and take Utah to win. But back the Utes to find a way to win this game. And I decided to go with the legend of Boone Pickens Stadium and the lore of Mike Gundy inexplicably finding a way to win this. Trey, the drive chart, it's scary, man. It looks like this: punt, downs, field goal, interception, punt, field goal, punt, touchdown, missed field goal, fumble, interception, interception, end of half, punt, missed field goal, punt, field goal, punt, field goal, punt, interception, garbage touchdown, punt, garbage touchdown, end of game. Oh boy, that was hard to watch. I texted you. My eyes hurt watching that game.
Yeah, man, it was a really difficult watch at times, but the Utah defense, if you're a fan of defense, Utah's defense won this game for them with a backup quarterback. That's exactly what you want to see from your defense when you know your offense is going to struggle to move the ball a little bit more than usual.
Yep.
Before those 2 late garbage time touchdowns that you mentioned, Mitch, they held Oklahoma State to just 143 total yards. And 9 of the Cowboys' first 12 drives were 3 plays or less. That is a recipe for success on the road. That defense is going to travel everywhere it goes in the Big 12. And, I hope Cam Rising is okay. I hope we get to see this Utah offense be everything that it can be with Cam Rising, because I think that's a really fun team to pair with a really, really good defense. But even if not, I still think they're going to win a lot of games in the Big 12 with a defense that can be that dominant against an offense that was looking like one of the conference's best going into this week. So, yeah, other than a couple lapses late when they already had it in hand, I think it was 21-3 at that point, 22-3, something like that. Other than a couple of lapses late, you got to be really confident in what you're seeing from that Utah defense.
Yeah, Garrett, Alan Bowman benched at one point in this game. He finishes 16-33, 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Those 2 touchdowns were both the garbage time touchdowns, right? As they tried to claw back. Utah is maybe a little conservative on defense. But, yeah, the explosive plays non-existent. At one point in the first half, I think right before the end of the half, right as Oklahoma State once again went 3 and out, they popped up a graphic that Oklahoma State only had 5 total plays of at least 10 yards. 3 of them were passing, 2 of them were rushing. In fact, they only rush 15 times for 48 yards. Defenses are not respecting Ollie Gordon I guess they are respecting Ollie Gordon this season. They're plugging up those gaps. The offensive line's protecting the quarterback, but they just cannot open up a lane for anybody to run through.
Yeah, I was going to say we might need to put an APB out for Ollie Gordon. I know it was a big matchup last night down here in Euless and the high school rain. Maybe came down to watch the team support him. Didn't quite make it back for the game. I don't remember seeing him today. I didn't see him make a difference. And it's one of the most shocking things is just how gone he's been from college football so far. I mean, you get a team like this, right? You have Alan Bowman, experience at the quarterback position, Ollie Gordon, Heisman hype going into the year, one of the best running backs, maybe the best running back should be in the college game versus, and, we were kind of questionable, is Cam going to go or not? You get a freshman and Isaac Wilson out there who's not really ready for the moment. I think that was obvious watching the game. He stepped up and he was gutsy. Like, he went out there and did his job, but there were a lot of moments where I was watching him out there and I'm like, yeah, he just doesn't seem like he's ready for this moment. It doesn't seem like he's quite ready to be playing, D1 college football quite yet. But then Micah Bernard goes out there for Utah and just tears it up.
Yeah.
Utah outrushes them, not only the 15 for 48 for Oklahoma, Utah ran the ball 52 times for 249 yards. They just said, guess what? We're going to run it. And you can, hopefully you would think that the Oklahoma State defense would be able to come in with the same plan that Utah's defense came in with. We're going to stop your running back, prove that you can throw it, right? That would be, in my opinion, what the game plan should be. They couldn't do it. They couldn't plug holes. They couldn't tackle. They got embarrassed in a lot of different spots. And when they needed the response, they just couldn't get it. I mean, to watch the meltdown from the stands, right? If you're watching this game, you saw Oklahoma State fans melting down in real time, watching them go from Bowman to Wrangle and then have to go back after that didn't work, and watching balls completely miss and sail out of bounds, and no competitive drives, 3 and outs here and there. Like, it was really, really bad. Like it got really, really ugly for Oklahoma State. And, at once, Keithy hit that big, touchdown over the top. I mean, you could see, people were like falling over the walls and like just like serious, like unalive themselves watch. Cause they like a lot of people
were heading for the exits for sure. That not a lot of people saw the last two garbage time touchdowns. They were already back in the parking lot.
It was too hot to stick around. It was 145 on the turf. I wondered when they showed that at the very beginning of the game. I wondered, okay, is this some sort of advantage for Oklahoma State? But I don't know. I talked about home field advantage, maybe not being the nail in the coffin for road teams that we've kind of come to expect. I'm starting to think that the temperature doesn't really matter all that much either, because every time it feels like they talk about it, this team's acclimated and this team isn't. Well, it's like who's cramping down on the field? It's the home team.
At this point, conditioning has become too much of a science. The heat won't. Now, I still think that cold weather can be a massive factor on teams from the South having to pass the football, but that's to be figured out maybe in October and November for those Big Ten matchups where USC and UCLA have to go on the road or something. But
or a playoff game when the SEC has to go to the Big Ten.
That could be a big deal. But no, I just think overall, like, super disappointing from Oklahoma State. You had every chance to win this game, and you couldn't find a way to score points at all. And just overall, super disappointing. Ollie Gordon's got to find a way to get going. The good news for Oklahoma State is September is almost over, so it's almost time for y'all to turn it back on and play good football. So, and I mentioned on the preview, but Oklahoma State likes to play Green Day football, so wake me up when September ends, and we'll hope that can work for them.
Utah clearly is the head and shoulders favorite at this point to take the Big 12. We talked about the FBI giving a lot of love to UCF. Certainly
Kansas
not going to be.
Doesn't look like a Big 12 favorite at halftime.
No, I was going to say Kansas State getting wrecked right now by BYU. I took BYU plus the points. I didn't expect them to dominate like they're doing right now. It's a little bit of a scary situation.
We watched that team dominate in person. I don't know how we got surprised by this.
That's right. They held SMU to a handful of points when the Ponies went up and put up 66 on their crosstown rivals in TCU. We'll talk about that in the Chaos segment coming up.
Gracious hip. How about that?